Thank you, Member Robinson. Apologies for absence. I have two. Apology from Member Guy and Member Chuck. Any other apologies? Member Seeley Brown. Oh, right. So Mrs. Seeley Brown is indeed a member of the technical team, and she's asked to be excused from this meeting. Right. So I want to welcome members to this meeting and to just indicate in my opening remarks that it is our intention to conclude the deliberations of this Joint Select Committee by the 12th of June, and therefrom to enable the appropriate report to be tabled in Parliament for debate, and therefrom further instructions to be given to the Chief Parliamentary Council to effect the amendments to the Act as directed. We want to also invite our clerk to do a further edit of the matrix and to present two reports for next meeting's deliberation. One, a report of the decisions that have been taken by the committee with regards to each area that we reviewed, and secondly, a report of the deferrals that have been made, whether to the SG's department or for our further consideration as a committee, so that our future meetings will focus primarily on the deferrals, so as to complete the matrix. We also would want to look at the possibility, members, of virtual meetings, just to ensure a fuller participation by members as we finalize the areas for submission to Parliament. So in that regard, wearing my other hat, I will move an appropriate motion, if it pleases members, on Tuesday to allow for us to have virtual meetings as well. Finally, we want to take note of some additional submissions that might have been made. One, I think, from the IC and another from NIA. And certainly today, I would like us to treat with the submission from the IC, as well as the JAMP letter really is one which more commends us for the outcome of the last meeting, and to indicate that they wanted us to appreciate that they appreciate the proposed adjustments that we wish to make. And then, of course, we have a document here which we will consider later on as well, with regards to the proposals for an Inspector General for the Integrity Commission, and particularly the best practice that has been sent to us from the Australian model, and that we may want to look at that as well. So, members, the minutes are before you. And just before I do, yes, we are delighted to have with us 18 students and 3 teachers from Alston High School in Clarendon. Welcome to this sitting of the Joint Select Committee, and I'm very happy that you have been brought to witness this element of the parliamentary process. Most times in Clarendon, I think it's northern Clarendon, Alston, in the northern, yes, northern side of Clarendon. Yes, northwest. So I'm right about the northern side of Clarendon, yes. I remember wearing another hat. I figured that you would be very familiar with all these locations. wearing another hat. So the review that we would want to make of this, I think, is to advance a possibility of strengthening the oversight responsibilities and role that we play to ensure a stronger and more effective Integrity Commission operation, and also to give greater confidence in the public in terms of what we're doing and what the actual mandate of the Commission is and how it is carried out. I think members over time have had various questions in relation to aspects of it, and I think that looking at how Australia treated with the oversight management of the Commission would give us some guidance in terms of how we can proceed ourselves. So that we will deal with on minutes of the last meeting are before you. Do I have a confirmation? Yes. Confirmed by Member Robinson and seconded by Member Warmington. Yes. Matters arising from the minutes. There being no matter, we shall proceed to matters for discussion. And as I indicated earlier on, members, we do have a submission here from the Integrity Commission, and I'll read it to you for your deliberation and decision. So it's entitled Further Submission by the Integrity Commission to the Joint Select Committee of Parliament established to review the Integrity Commission's Act. I act on behalf of and further to the instructions of the Integrity Commission. Reference is made to the matter at caption and to our previous attendance at the meeting of the Joint Select Committee on March 22, 2023, wherein the Integrity Commission gave oral submissions in furtherance to its written submissions on the amendment of the Integrity Commission's Act. We now write to the Joint Select Committee to request its consideration of an additional proposed amendment as the committee continues its review of the Integrity Commission's Act. In the execution of the Commission's mandate, in particular, the receipt and examination of statutory declarations, it was deemed that greater efficiencies may be achieved with the introduction of an electronic process in this regard. The incorporation of an electronic process would reduce the receipt and filing processes. Further, resources used to manage these processes may be redirected to the examination process. The foregoing inter alia will also significantly contribute to the reduction of the backlog of statutory declarations to be examined. Given the foregoing, it was deemed prudent to consider and seek approval for the implementation of a mechanism for the electronic submission of statutory declarations, namely the Electronic Declaration System, that is EDS. The Commission, through the Office of the Prime Minister, thereafter sought approval and subsequently was able to have the Integrity Commission, Electronic Statutory Declaration of Assets, Liabilities, and Income of Parliamentarians and Public Officials, Regulations 2023, and the Integrity Commission Amendment of the Third Schedule Regulations 2023 enacted and attached hereto as Appendix 1. Upon the promulgation of the reference regulations, a declarant may choose to submit his statutory declaration utilizing the EDS and the statutory declaration in the form provided on the EDS seem to be substantially the same as the form prescribed in Part A of the third schedule of the Integrity Commissions Act and may be used for the same purposes. The successful implementation of the EDS has been stalled as there have been perceived dissonance with the Integrity Commissions Act, Electronic Transactions Act, the Justice of the Peace Act, and Voluntary Declaration Act. So notwithstanding the deficiencies to be achieved with the implementation, sorry, I have to read that paragraph again. The successful implementation of the EDS has been stalled as there has been perceived dissonance with the Integrity Commissions Act, the Electronic Transaction Act, Justice of the Peace Act, and the Voluntary Declaration Act. Now, notwithstanding the efficiencies to be achieved with the implementation of the EDS, it is imperative that its implementation is in accordance with the foregoing legislation and any other applicable law and guidelines and/or policies. In particular, the Commission required legal guidance as to the manner in which to treat with the attestations by a Justice of the Peace regarding the EDS, having regard to the provisions of the Justice of the Peace Act, which requires that all documents attested to by a Justice of the Peace shall bear the official seal of that justice. By way of independent legal advice, the Commission was consequently advised that since Justices of the Peace do not have electronic seals and they cannot affix their seals electronically, the form of declaration cannot be properly executed by being witnessed digitally. The Commission was also advised that given the intended objectives of the EDS, it was recommended that there are two steps which could be taken to permit its implementation in a way that would be consistent with the applicable laws. Firstly, Parliament could amend the Integrity Commission Act to deem the submission of declarations by EDS to comply with the relevant requirements under the Justice of the Peace Act. And secondly, the Commission could make regulations pursuant to Section 64(1)(e) of the Integrity Commission Act for the operations of the EDS. In the circumstances, the Commission kindly requests that the Committee, in its review of the Integrity Commission Act, consider the inclusion of an amendment to deem the submission of declaration by the EDS to comply with the relevant requirements under the Justice of the Peace Act. The Commission thanks you for your consideration and assistance in this matter. Respectfully yours, Avian Ortiz, Legal Counsel, acting on behalf of the Integrity Commission. I find no difficulty with this, but members, it's your turn. Member Robbins.
I'd certainly support the recommendation. I think when we got the data last year, I believe, looking at the number of submissions and the inability of the Commission to even examine the submissions, it's clear that there has to be an easier way for this process to be executed. And I think with the advances in artificial intelligence, I believe the electronic submission, they can use technology to assist them in doing some screening of some of these submissions, and then a determination as to their examination. I don't see any difficulty with not having the JP stamp affixed. Quite frankly, I think practically in most cases, the JP never examines the submission anyway. We just have someone sign to indicate that the submission has been properly completed. So I would support this, and I think it will assist in the efficiency of the work of the Integrity Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I take a slightly different view. While I appreciate what Member Robinson is saying, in the first instance, I would say that the JP's purpose is really to witness my signature, to confirm that I am in fact the person signing my statutory declaration. not to affirm or confirm the content of it. But the question arises, why do I need, or why does the Integrity Commission need, a Justice of the Peace to witness my signature? This is not, and it's not to say that the question of potentially fraud can't arise, but really and truly, Mr. Chairman, who is running and scrambling to sign my statutory declaration? Nobody. Statutory declarations are signed by the declarant, and the declarant submits their own statutory declaration. So I don't think the requirement that a JP witness a statutory declaration is even necessary in the first place, whether on the paper copy or on the electronic submission. But there are times we have habits in terms of how we set up administrative requirements over time. And in some cases, they have a real and important purpose. But we have gotten into a practice of just sticking in things, not because they have a purposeful effect, but because we've done them in other places. This is one of those places, unless there's something I'm not seeing, that the amendment ought to be that the requirement of a Justice of the Peace to witness my signature is removed. May it please you.
I have to support, Chair, the submission which has been made by Senator Golding Campbell. This gives us an opportunity to examine some of the reasons why we do things. And I cannot see why it is necessary for a JP to attest to the fact that I personally appeared before him and he witnessed my signature on a statutory declaration. Indeed, it would be highly unlikely that anybody would want to falsely file a statutory declaration on my behalf. And certainly, the Justice of the Peace cannot, it's the Integrity Commission who examines my declaration to determine whether or not I have filed an accurate declaration. Justice of the Peace plays no role in that. And as I was saying, we were discussing, there are often times when we are on the cusp of being on time because we have to actually, although we have completed our declaration, find a JP to witness it. So I think that it is time that we look at matters such as this, and I believe that we do not need to have a JP sign.
I'm in support of the position of both senators.
Excellent. So we have a unanimous position here. I'm sorry, SG?
Thank you, Chair. I completely agree. I also had a difficulty because I don't think the proposed amendment could actually have been done. There are no provisions. What are these relevant requirements of the Justice of the Peace Jurisdiction Act? It doesn't deal with electronic signatures. So how could you then be saying you're complying with relevant requirements? What relevant requirements would you be complying with? None. The amendment would have had to be to the Justice of the Peace Jurisdiction Act, and that falls under the Ministry of Justice, and I'm not sure that they are ready to take that type of step yet. So I support the proposal for that reason, that to me, the appropriate thing would be for them to just remove the requirement for a Justice of the Peace to attest to the signature of the declarant.
Thank you very much. Very interesting point that you raised there, SG, in regards to that broader issue of going into this digital world and the increasing use of digital applications. And therefore, it's going to invite us to re-examine many of the laws and even rules that have governed how we do transactions and business in general. And certainly, this might be the precursor to that. So I'm guided to enable SG in the formulation of your legal arrangements to deal with this matter, to take into account that what we may be doing here could very well set the precedent for a broader legal adjustment. The next matter that we wanted to raise, I believe, that member Warmington, I believe, had raised the issue of looking at best practices in relation to strengthening the oversight committee's ability to give better guidance to the Integrity Commission itself, and to enable, the issues of accountability to be strengthened in this area. And so we had asked for a review of best practices that may exist in other jurisdictions, and I think the Australian model came up for consideration, and so we have before us a copy of what in Australia they have as the National Anti-Corruption Commission Act of 2022, and it then established something called the power of an inspector general, and the functions and the powers of that office is documented here for our review. Members all have a copy, and I would wish that we look at it and examine it today with the possibility of a proper recommendation in this regard. And I see Member Robinson ready to start.
I wish either if the Solicitor General's office or the Chief Parliamentary Counsel could remind us of the provisions in our Integrity Commission Act that deal with the issues of misconduct, or I don't know if the right term is unprofessionalism on the part of either commissioners or officers of the Integrity Commission. I want to be reminded of what those provisions are before I examine this, just to see what has existed. I don't know, well, I'm not aware that they have ever been utilized, if they have existed. So if you could, either body, if you could indicate to the Commission what those provisions are.
Chair, if I suspect the provision that the member is talking about, and there may be more than one, I'm not recalling, but certainly this one in relation to the Directors of Information and Complaint, Investigation and Corruption Prosecution. Section 30, subsection 9, speaks to the Governor General acting on the recommendation of the Commission terminating the appointment of a director for the inability of the director to discharge the functions of his office, whether arising from infirmity of body or mind, dereliction of duty, misbehavior, or for any other cause or for any of the circumstances which would have disqualified him for appointment pursuant to Section 9. That deals with the directors. As far as I am recalling, and Council and the technical team can correct me if I'm wrong, but the question of a misbehavior of a commissioner, section 15, right, and that is the same, in essence, the same language. So the Governor General has the power to terminate the appointment of an appointed commission for the same reasons as those set out for the removal of a director. Shall I read it? 15.1, the Governor General may, in accordance with the provisions of this section, terminate the appointment of an appointed commissioner for the inability of the appointed commissioner to discharge the functions of his office, whether arising from infirmity of body or mind, dereliction of duty, misbehavior, for any of the circumstances arising under Section 9, or, this one is a little different from 30, I believe, any other cause. That any other cause phrase, interestingly, is not utilized under Section 39 in relation to the directors. So it seems there would be a wider power in terms of the reasons that you could apply under Section 15 in relation to commissioners.
I find, I find this section very vague overall, and this is the reason why I recommended or introduce a recommendation that we include in the test sections the misconduct in public office, because this is too vague. So this is a part of the proposal recommendation that I made for consideration, misconduct in public office. And said the Governor General may, but the recommendation that I brought forth is that once it is found, the Governor General shall.
Question. How would you find it? That's what Member Warmington says, once it is found. So what process would you go through to find it?
And I think that's the essence of the discussion here. Is there a mechanism, and can we then, if there isn't one, find one?
A mechanism, because it establishes that if the Governor General decides that the question of termination of the appointment of the commissioner comes up, then it goes to a tribunal. The Governor General establishes a tribunal after consultation with the Prime Minister and the Leader of Opposition. So there is a process which is established under 15. So I don't know if the member is suggesting that what we need to bring clarity to is the exact reasons, but we would still have to go to process as defined here.
The first difficulty, and let me just say I haven't read in detail, but if I look at the second sentence from Australia, is appointed by the Governor General on the recommendation of the minister. In my view, that does not lend itself to the level of independence that this position would need to have. And the reason I asked to look back at the provision, I knew there was a provision, and I think it is well and clearly set out what that process is. We have never had a case where that process has arisen. But I don't think we should be looking to change something or alter unless we believe there is something inherently wrong with the process and the procedure outlined in the current act. And the Australian version would give me rise to concern because this person, it says appointed by on the recommendation of the minister, even though he's deemed to be an independent officer of the parliament. There's almost a contradiction of sorts there, because if the recommendation is of a minister, I don't see how that by itself, the provision that we have now for commissioners is appointed by the Governor General in consultation, but by the Governor General in consultation with Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition. That gives the Governor General that power. Here you're shifting away to a political actor, whoever that person is. But I'm not comfortable examining this as yet without determining whether there is something inherently wrong with what exists now in the Act and whether we need to If we believe amendments need to be made to what exists in the Act, then I think we should look at that. But to establish a new body of Parliament to solve a problem that I'm not clear of that exists, because I'm not clear of what the problem is, I'm weary of going down that road, quite frankly.
Well, just to indicate, Member Robinson, that this didn't just fall out of the sky. This came out of deliberations of the committee, and then the question was asked, are there best practices that we could draw on? And the Australian model was put forward. Now, the Australian model is not something that you would want to adopt hook, line, and sinker. It certainly offers some guidance. And therefore, if there's a willingness to discuss it, then certainly we should discuss it to determine whether or not elements of it would comport with what we want, and or if it is that we don't need it at all. So that's the essence of the discussion that I'd like us to pursue now, because remember, this is not a determination. It is merely a proposal to discuss, to enable a determination as to a mechanism that the Parliament could have to strengthen its oversight of the IC.
I was about to remind the member that you said we should review for further discussion, and as such, whatever section that is in the Australian model that wouldn't fit into ours, naturally we'll make amendments so to suit the situation here, if so inclined to put in place an Inspector General for the Integrity Commission.
And to the point of Member Robinson, he does make the point that he wishes to have further clarification from the SG as to whether or not there are any provisions for this kind of oversight, and whether or not the acts themselves offer any remedy that members might have been seeking when they put forward the idea of an Inspector General.
Well, then, you want to speak to it then, legal reform? I mean, the point I was going to make, Chairman, my experience or on matters like this, there's a lot of power that is vested in the Governor General, and I find that that office, in a quiet way, without any public, obviously without any public discussion, takes into account issues of performance, issues of perception of individuals, and may act accordingly. I believe that exists right now, and I believe that office is also open to feedback and advice on matters of this nature. I think, if we want to look at limits of office, term limits, right now the commissioners is 5 years? Is 7 years and can be reappointed, and then the directors are what? 5 years. I mean, and I don't have an issue with any of those either in terms of those terms. But, okay, I don't. But as I say, I think, I don't know that we have a system that is broken, but I do agree. Let's see if it can be strengthened. But I think what exists now provides an opportunity, if not explicitly, but I believe an opportunity for stakeholders to share views, and I believe those views tend to be taken into account.
Chair, I'm attracted to the suggestion that we should spend some time and look at it. to determine whether, in fact, this suggestion could in any way strengthen the Integrity Commission Act. And I would like the advice of the Legal Reform Unit so that they too could look at it within the context of what we presently have to see if, in fact, it would make it more efficient or in any way contribute to the strengthening of the legislation. I think it's a good idea that we look at it.
Chairman, first, the intent, when the consideration came up, is that this Inspector General would assist the Parliamentary Oversight Committee in its function in the oversight of the Integrity Commission. That basically one of the consideration, or the main consideration, in assisting the Parliamentary Oversight Committee in its duty and function.
Chair, I hope I'm not introducing another worm into the can, but what I was hearing Member Warmington speak to was a discomfort also with the Governor General's discretion when you spoke to the may and shall issues. Was I correct in that, in understanding what you were saying?
Shall?
Yeah.
I don't like the word shall.
Well,
No, may.
may, right.
But
Well,
I won't discuss in detail until we review this and come back.
Well, our provision currently under sections 15 and 30 deal with a discretion that the Governor General has to terminate the appointment of a commissioner who, after being put through due process, a tribunal finds that his appointment may be terminated. But as I read the provision here, I am of the view that the Governor General is not bound to follow the recommendation of the tribunal, that he may in fact take a different course of action and not terminate an appointment if the tribunal has found that it should be terminated. And I'm not sure if that may be part of the discomfort, but I too am willing to explore the Inspector General or the Inspector functions and powers under this information that legal reform has given us. I must admit, though, I have never really been a fan of the structure that the Oversight Committee is set up under and how it works. I think it needs some support, some reform, and some strengthening, and maybe even some change.
So I get the feeling of the committee that, that this model is worth examining, and that the committee should take a deeper dive into the proposals here, because I think this is the right moment as we are reviewing. This is the real first review that we're doing of the IC Act overall. And we've spent a little time on it. It's over 2 years that we have been meeting and deliberating on it. And we've had witnesses from a vast array of public sector and private sector interests and so on. And I think everybody is seized with enabling the best possible outcome for a most efficient Integrity Commission process, and that the powers that the Commission has mustn't be whittled in any way at all, but the responsibility of the Parliament for oversight must also be robust and strong. And so, to the extent that we can get benefit from examining other practices that have worked elsewhere, I think it is useful for us so to do. Mr. Peters?
Simmons here. I think we should, just on the point raised by the two members, we should probably
read through the entire section deal with termination. My eyes were just drawn to subsection 4 of section 15 and Integrity Commission Act, as well as, what's the other one, 39? I think the word may is used in the first section to deal with the fact that a decision can be made to terminate or not terminate. But that is not necessarily the decision what the Governor General will make. I think that's why may is used there.
Okay, so for good order, can we have a motion moved by a member with regards to accepting this document for further review?
Chairman, I so move, Chairman.
Seconded by
Seconded,
Member
Chair.
Campbell. Very well. Okay, so the next item is a letter here from JAMP, the Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, and I think it's a letter that the committee might want to hear.
Just
Sorry, members.
I'm just adding to it, so maybe it is worthy for further consideration.
Sure.
For subsection 9 of section 30, dealing with the directors, I think the wording is different there. So maybe some tidying up needs to be done. So it seems to be more definitive. All right, for subsection 9 of section 30, it says the Governor General may, acting on the recommendation of the Commission, terminate the appointment of a director for inability of the director to discharge the functions of his office, whether arising from infirmity of body or mind, direction of duty, misbehavior, or for any other cause, or for any other circumstances which would have disqualified him for appointment pursuant to section 9. So unlike 15.5, which seems to say that the Governor General shall act under the advice of that tribunal, under subsection 9 of section 30 says the Governor General may act under the advice of the Commission when terminating a director. So one uses may, one uses shall. And regarding the phrase any other cause, I just think it's how the section is drafted, because they do have that catch-all phrase any other cause under section 9 as well, it's just in a different place. So it may be useful to have both sections reconciled or having the same structure for ease of reading. But I'm not sure if it was intentional why the two clauses were drafted differently.
So,
Mr.
Member Scott
Peters,
Motley.
sorry, Chair, through
Please.
you. If I were redrafting, I'm not sure I would have subsection 5 after 4. Because if you look, subsection 5 deals with the suspension pending the inquiry, whereas 4 deals with the termination of the appointment. Although I'm not a drafter, so I shouldn't.
Yes.
But the suspension clause to me ought to come before the termination, since the suspension is being dealt with within the context of the recommendation and after consultation with the Leader of Opposition and the Prime Minister. So you suspend and then you terminate if the tribunal says so. So I think a redraft would be appropriate.
Member Robbins.
On a slightly different tangent, but I would like the committee, well, since I sit on both, and I may be crossing wires a little, but I'm just giving you my thought. I want to understand a little bit more about the terms and conditions under which the directors are hired and engaged in terms of emoluments and in particular pension for the directors, not the commissioners. And I raise that within the context that the roles of the directors are difficult positions to be in. The 5-year term is relatively short. If you do your job well, you're not going to endear yourself to many persons. And your future employability may be constrained by the execution of your responsibilities. And I would want us to look at that in a way which allows someone to be professional, be fearless, and to do their job without fear or favor, knowing that at the end of that tenure, they can earn a living, or they are able to in a very small society. It is not the Joint Select Committee, as I said, because I sit on the oversight, but it's a consideration. I mean, the commissioners are different because they tend to be retired persons who have already served and in their respective professions, but particularly the three main officers, the Director of Corruption Prosecution, the Information, and the other one, the three principal officers and the Executive Director, have very difficult roles. And so maybe it's at the oversight, but I think it's something that we need to consider.
The member mentioned the issue of employability of those officers after short period employment. Members of Parliament are also in a difficult position when it comes to employment after you leave this place. If you serve one term, nobody wants you. So it's the same thing around. Okay? The issue is, in the proposal I have here also, it's unreasonable for anyone to work just 5 years and entitled to a pension. It is the most generous pension scheme you can find anywhere else in the world. Huh? So I don't believe. So I believe this one, the proposal I made also, is to look at the length of employment and look also on the pension. Anybody, all other persons statutory organization, executive agency, what they get is gratuity at the end of their term. A gratuity at the end of the term. So why in this case is a special provision where people work 5 years, you get a full pension? Does not apply. Eh? That's the case, yes. That's the case.
In the sixth schedule. In the sixth.
Right. Oh.
In the sixth
Yes.
schedule.
Sorry. Yes. Chair, just wanted to add. So the provisions related to the pension of both the executive director and the directors, it's set out in the act itself, and it's in the sixth schedule. Paragraph 2 of the sixth schedule, 2.2. Well, let me start with 2.1. Where a person holding the office of director or the executive director retires in pensionable circumstances, he shall be paid pension and gratuity in accordance with this schedule. So paragraph 2, for the purposes of this paragraph and paragraph 4, a person retires in pensionable circumstances if he retires A, on or after the expiration of 5 years from the date of his appointment to the office of director or the executive director, or B, by reason of ill health prior to such expiration. And it goes on to detail other provisions.
Look up the amendment to all the subsections and the schedule.
Chair, I know that it may sound, well, Member Warmington used the word generous, so let me use that word, to have a pension vest in 5 years. But certainly my experience representing members of the public service is that gratuities, well, first of all, public sector contracts are often written in a way that a gratuity payment at the end of their term of service is either is based on performance, so it is not guaranteed that having completed the contract that they will get that gratuity. And I have seen circumstances in the public sector where public sector workers were expecting a gratuity, and there was no history that would have indicated to them that a gratuity was in jeopardy, but they have been denied a gratuity. The other thing I would say is that I wouldn't want to see any member of the commission, of the Integrity Commission, being subject to the question of whether or not they're performing for a gratuity. That body is too important and really needs to be so independent and free from any amount of manipulation whatsoever or appearance of, that though it seems to be a generous pension arrangement, even if you want to say overly generous, for this body to work, I think there needs to be established arrangements where people can operate freely, fairly, and independently. And the question of having the security of a pension is one such tool.
Member, I'm happy that you're closing it, because
Yeah, I'm closing it.
I wanted to make the point that this does not constitute a substantial part
I
of
know
the
it
discussion.
does. I know it doesn't,
And
Chairman.
I wouldn't want the public to feel that the committee was seized with the issue of the remuneratory arrangements with the Commission at this time, because indeed it is not
Agreed.
part of our remit, and it is
I only
the
raised it,
responsibility.
the answer was given by the Solicitor General's
Yes.
office, and I'm happy that those provisions exist, and I think they're appropriate for the positions that and the responsibilities that these public officers hold.
Very well.
That they are pensionable.
Thank you, members. So sorry, Mr. Simmons.
I'd just like to add for their consideration, just to bear in mind, that the directors are their appointment and their termination is actually under the recommendation of the commission itself, who are in turn the ones that are also appointed by the GG on the recommendation of the Prime
So they would
Minister.
advise the GG.
So there is some level of protection from the staff at the commission from outside influence. Just bear that in mind in your consideration.
All right. So in fairness, all of that came only because the hazards of the trade was enunciated by the member Robinson, and it elicited the responses that we got from Member Warmington et al. So can we move forward? I have this letter from JAMP, which is an interestingly complimentary letter. In fact, it's very few times that the committee would get a response from the public in this way. So the JAMP has written the Joint Select Committee's review of Section 56(1) of the Integrity Commission Act. And he said, on behalf of the team at the Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, we extend our appreciation for the discourse between the members of the Joint Select Committee, JC, Solicitor General, the team from Legal Reform, and the Chair, MP Malahoo Ford, on February 18, 2025. We appreciate the consideration given to our submission and the recommendations made to remedy disruption in transparency for a commendable best practice that has served Jamaica for some 15 years, April 2006 to September 2020. In particular, we welcome the unanimity of the decision to revise Section 56(1) of the Integrity Commission Act. Decision to view the sharing of contract award information via quarterly contract awards database or a procurement database designed for a similar purpose as an exception to the confidentiality requirements is certainly one that passes the public interest test. That care was taken to ensure the new clause would not create a window for premature or unauthorized disclosure was also well received. This represented a win for the transparency, and we were glad for the opportunity to publicly commend the committee via an article in the Gleaner and such. However, that article also raised some lingering questions of concern which have been raised. So in advocating for the reinstatement of the regular updates to the QCA report, we were informed by the Ministry of Finance that the Office of Public Procurement Policy, OPPP, had assumed responsibility for maintaining the procurement database. The ministry had committed to restoring public accessibility by 2024. However, this has yet to be materialized, and despite repeated inquiries, we have received no updates from the ministry regarding its status. In 2022, AMP developed a digital procurement tool that makes any analysis of the GOJ contract award data very simple and efficient. A demo of its capabilities can be viewed here, and I haven't seen the demo, but they said so. Unfortunately, due to the absence of contract information over the past 4 years, this tool has remained underutilized. We are eager to avoid any further delays that may hinder the QCA. We take those points, and in closing, they said they want to thank us for the time and consideration, and to ask that this letter be shared with members of the committee, which I have so done today. Thank you, Ms. Jeanette Calder, Executive Director of JAMP.
As a matter arising from the letter, could the clerk of the committee write to the Ministry of Finance and ask them for an update on the commitment to have the Office of Public Procurement publish the procurement database? From the letter, it said a commitment was provided over a year ago, but for whatever reasons, there hasn't been a publication. So if you could just inquire of them why it hasn't happened and when they anticipate that the publication will take place.
Very well. The clerk is so directed. Members, as I indicated earlier, the matrix that's before us will be edited to create two important compilations, one of the decisions that we have taken, and the second for the deferrals that we have. And the deferrals will constitute, therefore, the substantive area for discussion in the next 3 meetings as we conclude our deliberations at the JSC. I may want to ask the SG to give us an update on the position of deferrals that were specific to her division. Yes.
Well, there are quite a few, so is it that you wanted us to go through all of them today?
No, not to go through, just to give an update. That, in other words, you will be ready for us. Bear in mind
Yes, we will be.
the timetable that we've set.
Yes, we'll be ready at the next
Indeed.
meeting.
Very well. Any other business? The next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, I think, is it? Wednesday? Wednesday the 21st. The next meeting is Wednesday the 21st, at which time we will have the schedule of deferrals and also the schedule of decisions, so that we can proceed now to the concluding stages of our deliberations at the JSC. Yes. Okay, then the other dates that we have are June 11 and 12, 2 days. So that should give us the time to complete all that we have before us and to put us in a position where we can have a report ready for Parliament for the end of June to the first week in July. I think the meeting next week, the 21st, is 2 p.m. The other meetings are 10, is it? Yeah, okay. We will guide you in terms of that. The members, I don't know whether the clerk uses a magnifying glass or something to read these things. SG?
Thanks. I think some of us, well, I know I do, have a meeting in the morning, tobacco, and I think that may be virtual. So it may be on the 21st. Will this committee meeting be virtual?
No. Well, I did mention.
You have to go to
yes.
Parliament.
So I have to go to Parliament on Tuesday to have that approved.
Because
so that we can meet virtually as well.
It will be a little difficult if I have to leave one meeting to try and then get here.
Yes.
For
No, I take your point very well.
Okay.
And so if Parliament does approve, as I expect they will, then our next meeting could be virtual. Yeah. We will so advise you. I prefer the morning because I would like to benefit from the full day of deliberations to make sure it's full. Yes, both days. We want to finish this thing. We've been at it a little bit. I know, but you see, you're enduring the pain of it. I mean, we're not having any pain in that regard. Do I have a motion? Moved by Member Warmington, second by Member Robinson. This meeting is adjourned.
Stories. Get ready to be inspired. Join us on PBCJ's Giving Hearts, the show that celebrates kindness, compassion, and generosity.
So we try to give books, shoes, lunch snacks, and uniform allowance.
We'll share powerful stories of individuals and organizations making a difference across the island each week.
My mother and I felt the need to keep helping children with special needs and other children.
From ordinary people doing extraordinary things to organizations driving positive change.
And we haul up garbage, whether with our nets, hooks, picks.
Giving Hearts will warm your heart and inspire you to take action. Don't miss Giving Hearts, airing Sundays at 8 p.m. with a rebroadcast on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on PBCJ, the People's Station.
If you want to volunteer, definitely do it. You get actually a rewarding feeling after.
Join the movement. Spread love. Give from the heart. Giving Hearts, Sundays at 8 p.m., Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. on PBCJ. Follow us on social media at PBCJamaica for updates and more inspiring stories.
Embracing both land and sea. Hello, cool breeze, for whom do you sing? Light that shines bright, awakes my curious mind. I greet the stream, which way are you heading? Dance, dandelions, to the tune of the breeze, to give it meaning. Good things.
Mommy, the leaves are ready. I prepared 50 of them. Huh?
Let's get started. I just learned how to make rice dumplings. Prepare to be amazed.
Oh.
Dragon Boat Festival, here we come.
Calm down. All right. I'll prepare your food now. Huh? Huh? Those rice dumplings smell good. Hey, Grandma, I'll eat one rice dumpling.
How does it taste?
Huh? Mom, you're finally back!
You're a big boy now. Don't cry. People might tease you.
Fold the reed leaves at the center and turn it around to form a cone. Keep the bottom sealed. Fill the cone with glutinous rice and press it firmly. Fold the leaves tightly to keep the rice from falling from the cone. Keep it sealed. And lastly, hold the cone with one hand to secure its shape when tying it, or it will fall apart.
Hey, you have to remember, keep it tight.
You two are pathetic. Look at mine.
Huh?
How, Mom?
Looks like we're eating twine.
Please stop laughing. It should be tightly sealed. That's why...
Tintin!
Huh? Oh, Dong Dong, your mom is back.
I'll get some water for you.
Oh, you're making dumplings too?
Look, my mom made these dumplings. There are 3 flavors, sweet, salty, and spicy. They're delicious.
Wow. It looks nice, too.
Huh? I'll show you how to tell the flavors apart.
I hope you enjoy the different flavors.
We sure will. Thank you so much.
No problem. Dong Dong must have been a headache to you while I was away.
Oh, not at all. Dong Dong was so behaved.
You called this a rice dumpling?
Give it back!
Dong Dong!
We seldom make dumplings, and Tian Tian wanted to try, so we did.
Dong Dong, come here.
Huh? Yes, ma'am.
Silly boy. We're leaving.
Huh?
It's so yummy.
This puts mine to shame.
It's okay. It's only your first try. Their dumplings do look very good and have different flavors. More importantly, they taste delicious.
Today's a warm-up. We surely need more practice. I'll prepare more filling. Tomorrow is the Dragon Boat Festival. We have time to practice. We can't give up. So don't worry. Keep practicing the basics, okay?
Make some more. I don't wanna. Dong Dong will just laugh at me.
I'll go to work.
I'll walk Xiao Shan. Let's go, Xiao Hei.
You wait and see. I won't lose to Dong Dong's mom.
It's delicious.
Dong Dong, you're so lucky. Your mom is back for the festival. Huh?
Tian Tian, Dong Dong's mom made these delicious rice dumplings.
No need. I've had some. It tastes really good. Tomorrow is the Dragon Boat Festival. Have you made dumplings? Well...
Of course she did. And I don't know how it tastes, but it sure looked ugly.
I'll make better dumplings tomorrow.
What? I wasn't lying.
As her friends, we should encourage Tian Tian.
I've got a plan. Dad, why is Mom still in the kitchen till now?
Your mom has been busy all day because she wants to make delicious rice dumplings for us. Honey, let's go help Mom out. We should try our best tomorrow.
I'll try to make the prettiest rice dumplings tomorrow.
Great. Let's prepare now.
We're
ready.
What are you doing?
We're ready to take your orders. Tell us what to do.
The time to witness a miracle is now.
Huh?
It looks like the dumpling Dong Dong's mom made. You did a great job.
Your dumpling looks really nice, my dear.
You can do it too. Go ahead and try.
Tian! You're here. We're here to help you make dumplings.
Don't worry, you'll make better dumplings than me.
Good timing. I've prepared a lot of fillings.
Wow.
Those fillings look great.
Xiaopang had to take care of his grandma, so he couldn't come with us.
Well, that's all right. We can make more and give some to him later. You can bring home the rice dumplings you make if you like.
That sounds great. I want to make some for my mom.
I'll boil some water.
Let's go.
Ours still look ugly.
But I don't think it's a bad thing, because you can tell which dumpling is yours right away.
But they all look ugly to me. How can you tell which rice dumpling is yours anyway?
Well, I guess you're right. We can mark the rice dumplings. I want to put the biggest salted egg yolk in mine.
I'll make one with chicken in it. I'll put red bean paste. The 5th day of the 5th lunar month is the Dragon Boat Festival. Wormwood on the door, smell the lush scent. Eat dumplings and row the boat together. Let's go. Wow.
Hey, look, that's my dumpling.
I found mine too.
These are the dumplings you made yourself. Bring it home and enjoy them with your family.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, no, I can't find my rice dumpling.
I've got a solution. Eat them one by one until you find your dumpling. Or maybe we can help you eat the dumplings.
I don't need your help. I can find it.
This one, and this one. And all of these were made by me. Dong Dong, you should make all the rice dumplings for us next year. Ah! Please don't do that to me!
This isn't my dumpling.
Don't worry. It's hard to tell which one has a bone out after it's boiled.
But I think I found the most delicious rice dumpling.
Huh?
This one.
All right, let's see who can find Tian Tian's red bean dumpling first. Huh?
Okay. Whoever finds it can eat it.
Hey, wait, that's mine. Dad, Mom, Don't trip
We
me.
won't. Oh, look here.
Hey, look, I found it. Too bad, I'm way too full now.
Oh.
La la, la la la, la la, la la la. Standing at the crossroad, which way